Michael, why don't you just give us and the audience coaching on rising?
Okay, can I go into the choice a little bit too?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, let me just say that a lot of people think they're out there making choices. I don't find that. I think they're making, to answer your previous question, they're living in reaction, and that's coming from fear. It's usually fear of losing something, fear of losing love, fear of losing approval, fear of losing appreciation. So the real core that I really see is people live under the illusion of control. They'll say, oh, I believe in God, I believe in Buddha, Allah, nature, spirit, energy, but at the first chance that someone disagrees with them, for the first chance that, they don't like what's before them, yeah, they're like, that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not. Like my grandmother, she broke her hip about 8 months ago. I wasn't saying she wasn't supposed to break her hip. How did I know she was supposed to break her hip? She broke her hip. How can I argue with reality? I didn't like it. I didn't appreciate it. It didn't feel good. In the acceptance, I didn't condone it, but how do I know? Because she did. I wasn't going, she's not supposed to die, she is supposed to die, this wasn't supposed to happen, there shouldn't have been water on the floor, blah, blah, blah. No, every time we argue with what's before us, we create our own suffering. So what I invite you to do is pay attention to these thoughts, these disempowering beliefs that you have, that create these uncomfortable feelings that allow you the license to act out in self-destructive behavior. So you're not going to really be conscious of your thoughts at the moment, but you can pay attention to your feeling. That feels kind of yuckier. That doesn't feel very good. That feeling will lead you to the thought that you're believing that's untrue. And that's what you need to do, is become a student of yourself. Feelings, thoughts, disempowering beliefs, concepts, states of being, things like that. So to answer your question, it's the illusion of control that people feel like they're always in control. Why would you feel like you're in control? Because you feel so out of control inside. If you know that you're connected to something larger than you, there's no need for control. Mm-hmm. You're just living your life.
Teach!
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Lanie, I see you having an aha moment there.
Oh, I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just your energy is so calming, and you're so centered, and it just makes for a very kind of incredibly peaceful atmosphere. I just think you're wonderful.
Thank you.
So where are you going, Michael? Where are you going in the next 10 years?
It's a great question, Ellie. I guess towards the last 10 years of doing hair, I just said, I'm going to take this out to the rest of the world, and I have no idea how it's going to look, but I just made the leap. I wrote the book. I decided to engineer a humanitarian mission to Uganda. In that, I've met people. I've met people from the World Health Organization. We've gotten to do so many amazing things, and I'm not an NGO. I just, we raised like $33,000 and went over and did what we needed to do, and now we'll be doing that again with my video, to get to work with Mercy Line and RENA, a bunch of different programs where we're going to this time get to work with the war orphans and the war widows in the North, and the stuff that I'm talking about now, because the last time I did like 8 or 9 workshops all over Kampala. We're going to be doing them in the West, in the North, and actually raising a level of consciousness and awareness in Uganda, as opposed to setting people up in businesses like we did last time. They don't need that. What they need is they need the tools of self-reliance. They need to know that they can create whatever they want. They need to know that they can have the poverty, they can have the HIV, they can have whatever they want, and they can create from there, as opposed to eradicating that. And would I like to see it eradicated? Yes. But we need to accept where it is right now and create that from our core foundation. Instead of trying to get positive and trying to be happy, that will come organically and authentically when we accept wherever we're at here.
Tuning into what is.
Yes.
That's so powerful, but by the very nature of what you're talking about, it's almost like make all the plans for the next 10 years, but then, of course, because you've made them, then you have to wait and see what actually God wants for you.
Yeah. Let it go.
And I'm writing my second book, so we're on chapter 36, me and my associate, in my second book, and so that's part of the next thing too. So I'm just open to wherever I'm being led.
Yeah.
And I'm not really fixated on how that's supposed to look. And when I do it,
Matter of your next book?
what I decided to do is, let's say you are my client. It's a book that takes you from like a beginning of a life coaching session through maybe 6 to 2 months in. So it really takes you inside of yourself to allow you to really allow yourself to just be and accept all of what is.
So somebody can really see the process of what it means to find who you
Are
are.
you using real clients as
No. Experiences though.
oh,
Yeah.
they're okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Which is what I did with the first book. I kind of extracted the lessons from my clients over the 22 years and then put what I had learned from there and then put those into the book.
Do you know who Eckhart Tolle is?
Can I ask you, how long would you say a process, if you were coaching someone, a life coach experience, how long would that process take?
I don't want people to need me, Lanie. That's one of the things. So I tell people, give me a minimum of 4 months, but I don't want anybody with me more than 2 years. I know what I can bring to the table, and if I'm not and you need a therapist or you need a psychologist or you need something else, I will have no problem saying, listen, I love you, I'm not the one to serve you, here are some great numbers of other people. But if you're going to work with me, we work I meet you where you're at, but it's pretty intense and pretty quick.
Well, what's the difference between what you do and a psychologist or a psychiatrist?
I think I just give people the tools for a more expansive life right off the bat. Like if Mariel was my client, and this is going to sound kind of hokey, but I bring her light to consciousness. I bring her light to her consciousness. So she can't ever argue with the fact of how amazing she is. And that's who I speak to from the moment you walk into the room. I get the opportunity to work with domestic violence survivors, HIV, people heroin addicted, all sorts. Everybody's treated the same way because they deserve the same dignity and self-respect as you do, as she does, as she does, as I do, as Mariel does. So we're all in the same thing. There's no hierarchy in my world.
And this is not anything you were educated for. This is
Well, yeah, I went to
educated by life.
Well, I did 22 years of getting a doctorate of listening sitting behind the chair. Yes, you did. You went and taught me more about your bodies than ever wanted to know, more about anything that I ever wanted to know. And I sucked it all in.
Well, as a hairdresser, you're the only one that knows for sure.
So you're talking about, bringing Mariel as an example to her light so that she knows how magnificent she is. Do you ever get up in the morning and doubt that day how magnificent you are?
I never doubt that I'm whole as I am, and in the wholeness, I still allow myself to feel sad, lonely, angry. And what I do, though, is because I'm more conscious, I allow myself to give it a voice. Most of the people are afraid that they give it a voice, it's going to consume them. I'm like, no, give it a voice. Journal, write into it and through it. Don't censor. I don't care if it's the F word, it's the S word, whatever. Put it in there. Be true to wherever you're at. Life is temporary. That thought is temporary. Where you're at is temporary. By allowing myself to journal right into it and give it a voice, it lets go of me.
That's exactly
what I was talking about.
The minute you voice something, that's when it leaves you.
Absolutely.
Or it doesn't. But if you keep being honest about how you're feeling about it, that's when you can move through something. That's powerful information.
That's incredible.
So here's the thing. I have all these questions that are coming up. So the other thing is, you were saying because I'm conscious. And I like that statement because, I consider myself, someone who's conscious, and I like to blossom every day more and more. I have seen some people that say, I'm so conscious and you're not. I recycle and you don't. How dare you? I am all centered and you are all... And so they, in their consciousness, judge other people, and I'm guilty of that sometimes.
That's not consciousness.
Right. So what is it? So what is that? The dark side of the light chasers? Is that the shadow of those who think they have light? What is that?
I think that's a lot of people that have read a lot of books and done a lot of workshops and have learned a lot.
Jargon.
They have a lot of fear of letting people get close to them. So that fear allows them to feel a little bit more safe in the world by being a little bit more falsely elevated than the rest of us. But I think that the only reaction, and this is challenging for me, I'm not going to lie, I'm not Buddha, but it's challenging because I think the only proper response to that is love and compassion. It's like I know a lot of people that have a hard time with bigots and have a lot of time with racists and have a lot of time with prejudice, and I listen to them speak and they're prejudiced against the prejudiced and they're racist against the racist and they're bigots against the bigotry. They're doing the same thing, they're modeling the same thing. So if you're modeling the same thing, the people that you want to hear you can't hear you.
Can't hear you,
You stand there first and we'll follow. If it's good enough for us to be that, all of you that are in relationships saying, I need my husband to understand me, I need my mother. Yes, you understand you. I'm never going to understand. I'm not going to know what's, I don't know how old you are, but
And you never will.
Oh my God. To have your life experience.
Fantastic experience. You are
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're wonderful.
Yeah.